Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Financial Coaches Podcast. I'm Maria Casillas, your host, and joined here by my co-host, Cody Sizemore. We are so glad to be here with you today, and I think you're going to really enjoy the topic that we have. It's a little bit of a continuation or part two of last week, but it was not intended to be that way because that's just the way things happen over here. But before I tell you what that is, I'm going to just invite you to please connect with us because you'll notice that last week and then today, what we're going to be talking about is stuff that is coming from aspiring or current coaches who are in our community. And so I just wanted to remind you that our community is available for you. It is free to join. It's somewhere where there's a lot of community and camaraderie happening, a lot of questions being answered and asked. And we just want to make sure that you do not miss out on that. So where you can go for that is the Financial Coaches Community by New Money Habits. Again, it's on Facebook, and we look forward to seeing you there. Once again, we'd like to thank all of our every weekers for tuning in, not just this week, but every week prior and every week coming forward. We look forward to meeting with you each and every week. But we also wanted to say thank you to those of you who have tuned in maybe for the first time. Maybe you took a break for a little bit and you came back because, life happens and we totally get that. So we appreciate you just as much. All right, Cody. I want to just continue this conversation because when we hopped off last week, we were talking about, just like the person who I had been speaking with and how she was trying to figure out whether or not she was supposed to be a financial coach or something deeper. And we just kind of had a really good conversation about that. And when we got off, you said, hey, you know what? There was somebody who came to me who was kind of asking similar stuff about like, who are we supposed to be coaching? And so I want to just let you tell a little bit of the story so that we can dig in and start talking about part two from last week on accident.
Yeah. So I was a guest on a different podcast and, it has nothing to do with financial coaching. It was just me talking about like what I do. Mm-hmm. And someone listened to that episode and then got in touch with that host and said, hey, I want to do what he does.
Nice.
Can I get connected with him? And he said, yeah, sure. Let me check. So long story short, I got connected with this woman and, I talked to her today and she basically hopped on and she was like, hey, I really, really want to help people with like better managing their money. I want to help them, with their spending habits and getting out of debt and saving. That's what I'm like really, really passionate about. And I don't really know what my first steps are. Like, how do I start my business? What sort of like, software do I need? Like all the different types of questions, which by the way, shameless plug, you can figure out all that information in our course called Getting Started as a Financial Coach, which will be in the show notes below. And shameless plug. Anyways, but then she said something that really stood out to me. And I had to like stop her. I basically said, I know you have all these questions, but I need to address this one first. She had said that she's been talking to people about wanting to do this. And one common thing that she had been told over and over and over is, how are you going to help people who don't have money or who struggle with money and also expect to get paid from them? So you shouldn't be helping those people. You should instead be helping people who are investors or who are trying to make more money with their money and stuff like that, because they actually have resources to invest into your services. And she kind of communicated it in a way to where she led the conversation telling me who she wanted to serve, but then made it seem like even though that was who she really wanted to, she was kind of just accepting the fate that she was going to have to help these people instead, right?
Mm-hmm. So
because they could actually pay her, right?
Yeah.
And I stopped her and I said a few things, but the main takeaway that I said was, if you show up and you try and help these people that you are not passionate about, and you're not passionate about this area of the finances, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for them. And you're not going to be successful. if you show up in an area with people that you're passionate about, with a topic that you're passionate about, and with this service that you're passionate about, it will be good for them. It will be good for you, and you will be successful, regardless of how much financial resources they have for your services or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that is so, so important, because I had that same mental hurdle from when I was first starting, because I wanted to help the same people that she wanted to help. And I was like, how in the world am I going to help these people and actually build a practice off of this by charging them a fee when they're already struggling with their money?
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge thing, right?
I'll bet 99% of the people who go into this experience this, if not 100.
Correct.
I'm betting it's pretty high.
Correct. Yeah. So I think that like the big thing that I just wanted to hop on here today and just talk about is you shouldn't be starting your practice for the sake of making money. Because if you do that, you're not going to make any money. You're just not. And it's also not going to be fulfilling for you. And the people that you serve, they're going to feel that lack of passion, that lack of drive, that lack of true purpose. So this kind of goes back to what we talked about last time, where we talked about the right coach for the right client, right? You are going to be the wrong coach coaching the wrong clients, if that's the case. But if you were to really lean into who you're passionate about, what you're passionate about, the opposite's going to happen. You will be successful. It's not even a question in my mind, because if you start with the service first, the money will come. It's just a product.
A couple things. One, just so I don't forget, the timeline might look different for you. The money will come, but that timeline might look different than if you lead with doing the money first. But like he said, it will fizzle out because you're not passionate about it, you're not excited about it, and you're not really helping the other people. So eventually that will fizzle out. But what I don't want to forget also is, what do you say, Cody, to the person who says to your statement, don't get into business because you need the money? What do you say to the person who says, but I do need the money, Cody, and you of all people should totally understand that because you're the main provider for your family and you didn't have a job and you started and you needed money. Ready, go.
You'll never go the distance down the path of least resistance. And basically what I mean by that is that if you choose the path that's going to make you the most money the quickest, and it's going to be quote unquote the easiest, you're not going to go the distance. But if you choose the path that has some resistance to it, it's going to take a little bit longer. It's going to take a little bit more effort. It's going to take a little bit more passion in order to get it up and running and off the ground and to get that momentum built. You will find it to be a sustainable thing because you're going to be continuing to get results after results after results after results after results after results. And that's how you build it, right? I mean, you know this about me, Maria. I've been coaching for 4 years. It was actually 4 years this past June 1st. And, when I first started that very first year of coaching, I generated $8,000 in revenue over an entire year. And then you fast forward to today and, I'm multiple, 6 figures kind of thing. And that happened because I went through that first $8,000 in a year.
Yep.
Could I have made 50 grand my first year? Yes. But I don't think that I would be where I'm at now.
I agree with that. Based mostly on the compound effect, right? I mean, there is that lag oftentimes, and then a shoot up hockey stick effect that's happening. So I agree that you probably would not be where you are. And that's what I meant by the timeline looks different, and you didn't go out, just starting out to look for the money. And if you had, right now you already have people coming to you going, you're a financial advisor, right? You tell us how to invest our money, blah, blah, blah. Imagine if you had been inadvertently talking to investors.
Right. Like a monkey, I could never get off my back.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so, because your speak would have to be closer around that, and people would pick up on that, and you would really be, attracting the wrong client. I'm going to say the wrong client, because that's not the client that you are trying to help right now. So yeah, I think that that's actually a really good point that you made, and I'm glad that you made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the one other thing I want to say too is this idea of how do I charge people who don't have a lot of money or who are bad with money, rather. Yeah. I think it's probably more so the latter, right? One thing that I have realized through coaching is that, generally speaking, now of course there's always like those circumstances, but generally speaking, people have way more money than they actually think. They just don't know what's happening to it, and they don't know how to handle it, Yeah. And that's where you step in. Like, you can help people figure out, like, hey, this is how much you make, these are your expenses, and this is what should be left over. And with this should be left over, here's the coaching investment, here's what's left over even after that to make progress. And then once you are done with the coaching, like, just off to the races, like total explosion of exponential growth kind of thing. So the idea that, like, you're going to set someone back, it's just a limiting belief, because the truth is that they've already been setting themselves back for years. And you are not an expense. You are an investment. And they're not just investing into you and your services, but they are investing into themselves. It is not an expense. It's going to cost them more not to do it than it is to do it. And we have proof of that through years of data for them, So that's one thing I just want to, like, make sure that, the listeners are understanding about this, is especially for you, who are brand new coaches. You're either wanting to start coaching, or you've announced that you've started coaching, but you haven't gotten, like, very many clients, if any, is, like, the idea that your services, typically speaking, are not going to set people back. Instead, it's going to be a springboard for them to go forward in the long run. Especially because, like, these things that we're teaching people, it's not something that they do for 3 months, 6 months, and then stop. They don't just stop once your coaching is done. This is something that they will do for decades, over and over and over. And you want to talk about compound effect? Girlfriend. Come on.
Yep.
Like, what's the ROI on that? Seriously.
Yeah. And you probably won't be around to see it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But that can help you as you play that scenario out in your mind. It can help you put to rest some of those negative, fearful talk that's going on in your head about what that person's going to get or, lose by working with you. Another thing that I just want to throw out there is that you can be creative as well when it comes to figuring out, like, how to serve some of the people. Because I know there are a lot of people who have come to us and said, I really just want to do this as a ministry, for example. But sometimes they say they want to do it as a ministry. And also it is oftentimes some fear that, like, around what you were just talking about, that they don't really want to charge people, et cetera. But I do think that there are individuals out there, especially if they are along the lines of, like, the 9,900 budget coach that we were talking about last week, Cody. And And there may be people who truly just can't afford their services. That doesn't mean that they can't do something like within a church, for example. They could go to a specific church and maybe the church sponsors you, so you get paid still to do your work. But it's not something that they have to come with out of pocket for all of that. Maybe they pay $100 or something, and then the church sponsors the rest. Maybe you do something as a group, so that the church can get their money for it as well. And so that's not the only option, but I'm just saying, like, it is okay to be creative. If you want something badly enough and you know who you want to serve and you know what you do want to teach or, coach on, then you can start to go, that's a non-negotiable for me. So how do I get paid in order to make that work? And who needs those services? And how can I, just get creative with being able to find ways to offer that to them? So that's just another thing to think about.
And I'll even share a couple of things that I've done for that exact thing, like just getting creative. So, I'm at a point with my practice to where I don't have the time to work with every single person who comes to me. And there are some people who have tighter situations that they cannot afford, my services. So I actually have a assistant coach who was a past client of mine. And he approached me and he said that he wanted to start doing what I did because it changed his life so much. And he's like, I have a really good job. I make really good money. I'm not looking for this to be like my career. It's kind of like a passion thing that like, if I make a couple $100, cool. But that's really all I'm looking for. And I said, okay, great. I'll talk to these people. I'll do like the consultation with them. And when I come across those people that fit that bucket to where they can't do my services, but they could do yours, then I'll just set them up with you instead. And, you'll take, 66% of their investment. I'll take 33%, and then we'll call it a day. And he was like, that sounds great. So, just having like a resource to where it's a different level of program for those people who have tighter situations is a creative way to continue to make that impact when maybe instead of just turning them away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I did to get creative. Another thing that I'm doing currently, which I'm glad you brought this up. You brought up the idea about the church sponsorship, right?
Yeah.
Not that exactly, but I'm working with. So I have a client that I've been working with for the last 2 years, and she's very close to her employer, and one thing led to another. But basically, the employer said, "Hey, I think that our entire company would benefit from your services," and they're like, a company of like 47 people, something like that, and I talked to them and we're going to be doing like some sort of like special rate kind of program for their employees to where they're going to be sponsoring or paying for my services up to a certain level. And then like, the clients would then pay like the rest, but it'd be like a very small amount where they have like some skin in the game, but the company recognizes that there are some of their employees that have tighter situations that just can't do what I typically ask, but they want them to so that they can be more focused on being a good employee rather than just being stressed out about money all the time, So even just finding those companies that see the importance of it and how it can actually benefit their company, for them to then sponsor their employees to go through your program is also another creative way to where those employees, those clients aren't paying the full amount, but you're still getting what you're worth and they're getting the value that they need as well.
And they have some skin in the game, because that is something that really is important, you guys. And
yes.
I want to make sure that you do hear that part of it as well. Even if it's a small amount, they do need to have some skin in the game. So, but yeah, I think I love those ideas. I hope that people who are listening, it's getting your mind just kind of revving up a little bit, and you'll probably come up with a bunch of other ideas that could be creative when it comes to figuring all that out. But I think the main thing that we want you to take away from today is don't compromise who you're trying to serve or what you're trying to teach just because you think erroneously, that they can't pay for those services.
Right.
There is somebody out there who needs what you have, who will pay for what you have, or have somebody pay on their behalf for what you have. And I think Cody said it really great when he said, if you don't have that passion around it, or at least some sense of fulfillment. I mean, I know passion sometimes gets overused, but there should be some sense of fulfillment around it. If you don't have that, then they're going to feel it, you're going to feel it. And overall, it's just not going to be a really good situation. So that's the number one thing we want to make sure you get out of this conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, lean into who you're passionate about, lean into what you're passionate about, and things will fall into place for you and the people that you serve. That's the big message. So take that and run with it. Do what you will, guys. But hey, we appreciate you guys chiming in this week. We hope that you chime in next week as well for another episode of the Financial Coaches Podcast. And if you haven't yet, say hi in the Facebook group, and we'll say hi back, and we'll have a good time. So until then, you guys enjoy your week. We'll catch you next week.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our hosts by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching. Music provided by Summer School.